The purpose of this presentation is to help you put together an outline that will help you give a really good speech. Now, you may be asking yourself, why do I need to bother with an outline? Why can't I just write it out in paragraph format like I'm used to doing in my English class or my history class? Well, I can give you 3 good reasons why you want to put together an outline instead of write a paper. First of all, an outline is going to help you organize your ideas. Second, it's going to help you build support and add information to your speech. And third, most importantly, it's really going to help you with your delivery when it's time to get up and present that speech. So let's start with the first reason, organizing your ideas. When you're putting together a speech, you need to have a goal. You need to have something that you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you're trying to inform your audience how to practice good study skills. Or maybe you're trying to persuade your audience to serve as a mentor for a local child. Regardless, your goal, you want to keep your speech moving forward. Everything you say is towards accomplishing the purpose of whatever the goal of your speech is. And the best way to do it is to subdivide your speech into sections. Rather than just generically talk about ways to mentor a child, you want to come up with 3 good reasons on how you can better mentor a child. Or rather than just talk about study skills in general, come up with 4 good study habits that'll help raise your GPA. This will be more memorable, help it stick in the audience's head, and with an outline, you're going to be able to organize that and see it all laid out nice and neat. Ultimately, too, as you build your outline with more detail, you're going to add your introduction and your conclusion, which are going to be bookended around that outline that you've created. The second thing you want to accomplish with your outline is to build support material for your speech to help beef it up a little bit. As you've put together the foundation of your speech with your outline, at some point you're going to want to add the bricks and mortar, a little more detail to your speech. You want to make sure that your speech is balanced. You don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about one section and then later realize that you neglected another section. So when it's visually laid out in an outline, you can just easily see where your speech needs more or less support. The third reason you're going to put together an outline, and to me this is the most important reason, is ultimately your speech delivery. Nobody likes to hear somebody get up there and drone on in a monotone cadence as they read their paper out loud. It's just boring. Plus your voice lapses into this weird sing-songy rhythm thing that's just not natural. People don't talk like that. Think about people that you like to listen to, celebrities who just do a really good job of engaging the audience. They're not reading word for word off of a cue card. They may have a cue card that cues them about what they're going to talk about, but again, they're not reading it word for word. So that's what you're aiming for with your outline. You're going to put your information together in front of you in cue cards, in words and phrases that are going to help remind you what you want to say without necessarily reading it verbatim off of the paper. And ultimately, this comes down to practice. Once you put together that outline without all those complete sentences, you have to practice it out loud again and again and again until you're really comfortable with how that is put together. Another thing about delivering off of an outline is it's going to help you make better eye contact with the audience. Let's say that you have a dense paragraph of information in front of you. If you try to read from that and look up at your audience and look back down at your piece of paper again, you're going to lose your spot. It's just really hard to do. On the other hand, if it's nice and spread out across your paper and you can easily see things, you can look up at the audience, look back down at your paper, and then easily find your place again because it's spread out. Maybe you used big fonts or highlighted things or bold-faced things. It's just much easier to engage with the audience without having to burn a hole through your paper trying to find your place on it. Now let's talk about a few guidelines for putting together an outline. Some rules that you want to follow as you build your outline. So here's my outline here. And the first thing I want to point out is that I've indented things. I have my main ideas here at left justified, pay it forward and grow personally. And they're lined up nice and neat with one another. Pay it forward has 2 sub-ideas, help the next generation, and it'll come back to you some way. So does grow personally. And notice these are ABs, and they're also indented underneath their main ideas. And then I've also got a 3rd level of ideas here indented underneath the previous idea. So they're all lined up nice and neat and indented as appropriate. Second rule that you want to follow is keep your symbols consistent. I'm not picky about what symbols you use. You can use whatever you want, just as long as once you start with something, you stick with it the whole way through. So I started out with Roman numerals at my main level. If there was a 3rd main idea, I'd have a Roman numeral 3. And then underneath Roman numeral 1, I've got an A and a B. And then underneath each of those, I've got 1, 2. So again, notice I've used the AB all the way through my whole outline and the 1, 2 all the way through the whole outline. Just be consistent. The third thing you want to do is make sure you give each idea its own line. This is part of spreading it out around the page and making it easy to look at. Again, Pay It Forward has its own line, Help the Next Generation is its own, and each idea that follows has its own unique line. So if you can just remember these basic guidelines, indent, use consistent symbols, and give each idea its own line, it's going to be much easier to put together your outline. The magic of word processing makes putting together an outline really easy. If you're using Microsoft Word, it has a few tools built in to help create an outline pretty straightforward. Let me show you how. I'm going to do this outline on how to raise your GPA. So let me type in a few of my main points. First, organize ahead. That's my main idea. And then under it, I have the tools you need. Know your deadlines. Go to class. Okay, now I'm going to put this in the outline format. Each idea has its own line. If I highlight all of that and go up here, see this little multi-level list? If I click on that, it gives me some options. As I said, I like the Roman numeral ABC 1, 2, 3, so I'm going to choose that one. Now, okay, organize ahead is my main idea, but then these should be underneath it. They should be indented underneath organize ahead, because have the tools, know your deadlines, go to class. Those are all ways to organize ahead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight that and go back up here and see this little indent button? That's going to indent it in. So if I need to add something else, I can just type a few more things here. Let's see, scan, question, read, review. That's my next main idea. And then I have connect with others. And then under connect with others, I have participate in class. This is enough to give you a good idea. So I'm going to highlight this again, click the same button I clicked before, and here once more, it puts it out as my main idea, Roman numerals. So scan, question, read, review is a main idea. So is connect with others, but participate in class should go under connect with others. That's one way you can connect with others, is participating in class. So again, I'm going to click my indent tool and it will indent it automatically. If I have something about participating in class, I can just keep this going. Sit on the front row. Talk to your professors. Again, highlight, click, indent, and indent one more time, and see it puts it underneath ways to participate in class. So it's pretty straightforward. You may also wonder how much detail you should include on your outline. Let me talk about different stages that most of them go through, starting with the rough outline. The purpose of a rough outline is just to help you organize your ideas. It doesn't have a lot of detail. It's got some. I mean, you're just trying to figure out, do I have enough to say about each main idea? What order do I want to put it in? You might think a little bit about your introduction and your conclusion, but pretty much you're just making sure that you know what you want to say and the order you want to say it in. When you get to the second step of the outline, the preparation outline, this one has a lot more detail. Remember I told you to avoid complete sentences? It's okay if it's in the preparation outline. You just don't want to have this in front of you when you actually deliver your speech. It might give you a comfort level figuring out exactly what you want to say and how you're going to say it. And just remember, as you fill in all of that detail, back it up with research. Do your research, write your orally cited sources, and include those in this preparation outline. But it's going to help you figure out all of the guts, again, the bricks and mortar, what you actually want to say about your speech. The final version of the outline is the speaker's outline, and this is the one you're actually going to have in front of you when you deliver your speech. Now, notice the difference between that preparation outline and this one. This one has a lot less detail. It looks a little more like my rough draft outline, but it's a cue card. It's going to help me know what I'm going to say, and because I've practiced it out loud a bunch, I know what I'm supposed to be talking about. So I can pretty easily glance down at this and look back up at my audience and know what I want to say. Also, think of your outline like a roadmap. When I'm driving my car, I need to be looking at the road more than at the navigation on my phone. So if I can glance down and see that big arrow with just turn right on Avenue R, that's a lot easier for my eyes to look down at my phone and look back up at the road than the other set of directions is. So your goal is to make your outline look more visually appealing, whatever works for you, so that it's easy to read and that you can follow it well enough. Another thing is some people like to put their outlines onto note cards. I don't have any objection to this. I think this can be a good strategy. I personally don't like to do it just because I like to type. My handwriting's messy. I can use, again, the word processor to make things bold or make a bigger font or highlight things. It's just easier for me to type it. But you're welcome to use note cards if you want to. But here's some things you don't want to do. You don't want to use your phone. Sometimes I'll have a student get up with their speech on their phone. It's this little screen. You're having to hold it up to your face or lean down over it and scroll around. It just looks strange. Don't do that. Laptop's not quite as bad, but it's still not good. First of all, you're doing more scrolling around than you probably thought you were going to. You've got this barrier you've created between you and your audience with a laptop screen folded up there. And then you're stuck in one place. You can't move around any because you have to stay right there behind your screen. A tablet is a happy medium between the two, and I've seen tablets work okay. Again, you've got the scrolling around thing, and while I love my iPad, I don't know. Sometimes I accidentally leave it on and drain the battery. I am just a fan of the good old piece of paper. So, note cards, paper, tablet, I think all of those can work, but you just got to find what works best for you when you deliver your speech. So to wrap it up, I hope this presentation has helped you figure out how to put together an outline and understand that how an outline with a rough draft helps you organize your ideas. Preparation outline can help you support your speech, and then ultimately that speaker's outline is going to help you deliver a good conversational speech where you can make eye contact with your audience. Good luck!